we haven't met, I'm Jennifer Elliott, and this is VinYin, or Vinyasa and Yin. And today is going to be, we'll see where we go. We're basically going to be working hamstrings and wrists, and we'll see where that takes us as we get into our core work and how we proceed throughout the rest of class. If you've got a wall, we may or may not use it, have that nearby or have you nearby the wall. Grab a couple of blocks, and if you have a strap, I went over this a couple of times, have a big loop in it. If you don't have a strap, no big deal, we'll work around it. So let's get started. Come to your back. You can have that loop strap nearby if you've got it. Just come to your back in Shavasana. So if the low back is tender in any way, bend the knees. Otherwise, you can just straighten the legs out. And just turn the palms open. Take a few moments, close the eyes. And just scan the body. Where are those areas that are getting your attention? See if you can relax the jaw. Notice if the legs are straight or flopping out. The palms, see if they can turn up. And as the eyes close, just melt them into the sockets. And as you scan your body, you're noticing anything that catches your attention. But you're also formulating an intention for your practice. You might have already come to your mat with something you need to put your attention and focus towards. Maybe just even the breath or being quiet for an hour, just having the space for you. But if there's something that's really calling to you in the body or whatever you need to pay attention to, set that as an intention. And every time you remember today, just bring your focus back to it. So whatever that intention is, or at least the idea of setting one, let's invite that in with a deep inhale through the nose. Open the mouth and let it out. Again, in through the nose. Open the mouth and let it out. One more, in through the nose. Hold. Sip a bit more breath in through the nose. Sip a bit more breath in. Open the mouth and let it out. Then take an inhale through the nose. And exhale back out the nose. All right, let that be your natural breath now, in and out through the nose. And then take an inhale. As you blink the eyes open, you can interlace your fingers, turn your palms open, stretch the hands back, and you can straighten out the legs. So really press through the heels as you reach the hands back. You can absorb the front ribs down and in, and really try to lengthen your tailbone to the back of the heels. Take a couple of breaths here. Keep everything, but bring the arms overhead, change the interlace, we'll call it left index finger on top, and then reach back behind you again, really pressing the palms back. Then pull your right knee into your chest, give yourself a hug. So you're going to slide your hands from your right knee down to the middle of the right shin. I do this a lot. We're going to flex through both feet and then resist. Press the right shin up into the hands. So we want to feel a little bit of resistance. Maybe the foot jumps or shakes a little bit. And then as you're doing that, peel the left heel off the floor just an inch, just enough that you can feel what's happening in the lower back. Pubic bone to navel. Feel the low back anchor. Take an inhale. Exhale, curl, forehead to knee, breathe. I'm just going to stay here for a moment. Lower yourself back down. Interlace your hands under the knee. Drive the heel forward as if you could press into the front of your mat. So heel presses forward, knee stays bent, but arms straighten. Couple of breaths. So we want the hamstrings to fire. So we have effort of the back of the thigh pressing against the interlaced fingers. And then straighten up the right leg. Point, flex, rotate through the ankle. Rebend your knee and then just simply take the knee across the body to the left and enjoy a nice simple twist. Back to center, both knees into your chest. Appanasana, hold on to the left knee, lower the right leg down. Interlace your hands in the middle of the left shin, flex through the feet. Actively press the left shin upwards, find your breath. Raise the right foot just an inch, pubic bone to navel, low back anchors. Take an inhale. Exhale, curl, forehead to knee, breathe. Just stay here for a moment. And then lower back down. Hands underneath the knee, keep the knee bent, and drive the heel forward. So push so much with the heel that the arms straighten, but the knee stays bent. Feel like you want to break the connection of the interlaced hands. And then simply straighten up the leg, point, flex, and rotate. Bend your knee, cross it over the body, just simply take a nice, easy twist. And then return to center, bend both knees, feet on the floor. Now, if you have your strap, grab it, and it's got a pretty big loop. If you don't have a strap or the loop doesn't quite make sense, just do everything and pretend you have that strap. Plus, too, I know a lot of my students well enough to know some of you just hate the strap. So if it's not working, anytime I say to use it today, feel free to skip it. So it's a fairly big loop. I'm going to take the strap over my left foot. And then as I lower my left leg down, I'm just going to loop the rest of this over my right thigh. I'm going to bring it all the way down to the hip crease so that when I reach for my right knee, and I'm going to slide the buckle out of the hip crease. When I reach for the right knee, it's over my right hip and it's over my left foot. And again, if lefts and rights don't feel like they're working for you, don't worry, just do this without the strap. So I'm going to tighten up my strap a little bit so that when I hold my knee in, it naturally lifted that left leg just like we did a moment ago. So if you don't have a strap, just do the same work. Right knee into the chest, left leg lifts. But what's nice about the strap is there's some traction. So as I push through that extended leg, I can feel the traction happening in that right hip. I can raise the right leg up, and then I can reach the hands back, but I'm really pushing through that left leg. Absorb the front ribs in. Take a few moments here just to get the core engaged. Couple of breaths. And then rebend your right knee. Set the foot onto the floor. You can raise the left leg up. So we're going to do that the other way. So I'm going to move the buckle so it's in my left hand. I'm going to put the strap on my right foot. And again, as I lower my right leg down, I'm just going to take this loop. I'm just going to slide it right over my right hip, right into the hip crease. I'm going to maneuver it so the buckle's not in my way. And then I'm going to pull the left leg in. Since I already tightened the strap when I pulled the leg in, it just naturally lifted my right leg. So find this Ekapada Appanasana with the right leg lifted with or without your strap. You can take that left leg to the ceiling, keep pressing through both feet. And then if you want, explore taking the hands up or drawing them back. Absorb the front ribs down and in, pubic bone to navel, couple of breaths here. Really push through both heels. Take another breath and bend your knee, bring that leg back. Okay, we'll work on that later. Set that aside, hands underneath your knees. Rock yourself forward and back or however you'd like to come up to seated. When you rock all the way up, give yourself a moment just to pause in both. Just enough to feel, are you too far back on the sit bones like I am here? Are you too far forward where you fall? Where's that Goldilocks, that happy medium? Lift your chest, just find a little bit of a balance. Take your arms out in front of you, lift the heart, cross, middle of the shins, squeeze into a nice tight ball, and then just lightly come over those knees to tabletop. Okay, when you get to tabletop, turn your fingertips back. Just give yourself a nice wrist stretch. And that may be more than enough. If this feels okay, tuck your toes under. You can just lean back a little bit, go a little further up the forearms. And slowly come back to center. Bring your hands back to face forward. Take one hand, place the back of the hand on the mat, fingers face the center. Again, we're just stretching the wrist. That may be plenty. If this is okay for you, open and close the fist. Just start to stretch the wrist. Maybe you can put the thumb on the inside. If that's hard for you, that's your homework. All right, roll out your wrist. And then the other side. Fingers face the center, back of the hand on the mat. Again, only put as much weight as you can. For me, I'm actually not putting all the weight just yet on my wrist, giving it a little bit of time. And then go ahead and make fists. And if you can, thumb on the inside. I haven't done this in a while, so this is also my homework. All right, roll the wrists around. Find your way to table pose. Take an inhale, pull your chest forward, reach the tailbone back. Exhale, round, draw the navel in. Inhale, heart forward. Exhale, round spine. And then just press all the way back into child's pose. Forehead down, arms are out in front of you, spread wide through the fingers. Come up, hands and knees. Tuck the toes and lift the hips. Downward facing dog. And just keep the knees bent for a moment. Let the head go. You can pedal out the feet. Shift forward into plank, top of your push-up. And you can always be on your knees here, so take care of you. But see if you can push through the palms without locking out the elbows. Lift the hips slightly as you direct the tailbone back, the navel in. Look forward, and from plank or your knees, tip forward and lower slowly to the floor. Elbows hug the body the whole way down. When you arrive on your belly, reach your toes back. Take an inhale, lift your heart, low cobra, and release. Again, inhale, lift the heart, navel in, and release. One more. Inhale, lift the heart. Maybe lift all the way into up dog. We have plenty of time to get there if it's not just yet. Down dog, and breathe. So take a few breaths here. Spread wide through the fingers, root through the inner hands. Your feet are hip width apart, hands are shoulder width apart. If you're hyper bendy, start to lift your front ribs up into your spine. Kind of like we did on our back, we've just flipped it. And then find your way to hands and knees. Okay, if you have blocks, grab them. If not, you can do this without. I'm gonna hold my blocks on the second height just to start. We're gonna use it later, so I'm just gonna do it ahead of time so that I have them. So I'm gonna find my way into down dog with the blocks. When you get to down dog, with or without the blocks, raise your right leg up behind you about halfway. Take an inhale. Exhale, knee to nose. Pull the knee and push into the palms around the back. Inhale the leg back. Exhale, knee to nose. Press into the palms, round the back, and set your right foot down, kind of next to that right thumb tip or right block. So if you were on the blocks, you felt probably like you had much more of a lift there. And then if you didn't have the blocks and you have an opportunity, add them now. Look forward, press into the palms, and can you push so much into the hands that you can lift the front foot off the mat, let's say an inch. And even if it doesn't go anywhere, the effort counts. So push into the palms, try to lift that foot, and then set it back down. Look forward on an inhale. Exhale, lift the hips and the front toes, wide pyramid, just fold, surrender over the front leg. Inhale, forward lunge, lift the heart. Exhale, tip it back, wide pyramid. All right, shift forward into plank. Hands on the blocks, really root. Now see if you can press into the palms, lift the foot without making any scraping noise, and just bring it back to plank. So if you're higher on these blocks, that was a little bit easier. And then just lift up and back, downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here, let the head hang. Left leg lifts, height of the hip, inhale. Exhale, knee to nose. Press into the palms, lift the knee high. Inhale back. Exhale, knee to nose. Lift and gently step forward, right next to that left thumb tip. Pull your chest forward. Then can you press into the palms without locking out the elbows? And again, try to lift the front foot an inch. The effort counts, so even if it doesn't go anywhere, the effort of trying matters. Set it down. Nice job. Look forward. Inhale. Exhale, lift up and back. Wide pyramid. All right. Again, inhale. And exhale. Find your lunge. Hands in the blocks if you can. Press in as lightly as you can. Step to plank. Lift to down dog. And just bring the feet together in your down dog. Take a couple of breaths here. Come high to your toes. Bend your knees. Look forward. If you want, use the blocks and hop to the top of the mat. All right. So if you made that sound like I did, go back. Let's try it again. When there's sound, there's a force. So let's try to do it and be as quiet as we can now. Bend the knees. Quietly hop. How do we do? Take an inhale, lift your chest, pull it forward. Exhale and fold. Root to rise. Reach the arms to the sky. Palms press, navel in and up. And exhale, hands to heart. Okay, Surya Namaskar A, Sun Salute A. You can move those blocks out of your way. Top of the mat. Take an inhale, reach your arms to the sky, palms press. Exhale, forward fold, soften the knees on the way down. Inhale up halfway, look down. Exhale, step to plank or jump to chaturanga, yogi's choice. Shift forward, lower chaturanga if you hadn't already jumped there, and then find your back bend of choice. Downward facing dog. All right, we're here 5 breaths. Push into the palms like you did when your hands were on the blocks. Lift up out of the hips. Thigh bones press back, toes try to lift. Inhale to the toes. Exhale, bend your knees, step or hop, top of the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Root to rise. Reach the arms to the sky. Palms press. And exhale, hands to heart. Round 2. Inhale, arms reach. Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, forward fold. Uttanasana. Inhale up halfway. Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, either jump chaturanga or step plank and move through your vinyasa. We'll meet in up dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, or your back bend. And then down dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. 5 breaths here. This can always be child's pose. High to the toes, bend your knees, step or hop, top of the mat. Woo! Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Root to rise. Reach the arms to the sky. And exhale, hands to heart. Okay, 3 rounds on your own. Surya A. If you don't know it, just make it up. We meet in your 3rd downward facing dog. When breath stops, movement stops. So make it a moving meditation. If you need to skip any of the chaturangas, go for it. Just move with your breath. Three to 5 breaths in each down dog. Notice what you prefer. If you jump back and you feel that same force, you want to make it light. I often jump forward, but I don't jump back. That just works really nicely for my joints. You can decide that for yourself as well. You have one more round to meet your next down dog. You can always step forward as well if hopping is not for you. All right, last one. Let's meet in down dog. All right, so take a few moments arriving in this down dog if you weren't already there. And start to walk your hands back towards your heels, forward fold at the back of the mat. Make sure the feet are still hip width apart, and then either stand on the hands, Padahastasana, or if you're not interested in standing on the hands, flip them over next to your feet on your mat, or even use your blocks. Just a few moments here, let the head go, lift the inner shoulders. Find your breath. You can scrunch up your toes, give your wrists a nice massage. And then take those hands out. Heel toe the feet together, big toes touch. Little space between the heels. Bend your knees, drop your seat, find chair, find your drishti, or is that point in front of you. And then stand up with the right knee. Place your hands on your shin, just like you did on your back. Grow tall, find your breath. And then take your hands underneath, straighten the leg out just like you did on the back. And then if you're ready, when you're ready, take the arms up. Ooh, suddenly that leg just got real heavy. Rebend it, sit back into chair. All right, inhale, rise, left leg comes with you. Find your balance, hands on your shin. Grow tall, find your breath. Straighten the leg out by interlacing under the knee, press through the heel. When and if you're ready, arms come straight up. Bend the knee and sit back, chair. Inhale here. Exhale, forward fold. Heel toe your feet hip width. Look up and walk forward, down dog. You can always add in your own extra vinyasas or push-ups. Inhale, the right leg lifts, height of the hip. Exhale, step it to the center of the hands. Anchor the back heel down and come on up, warrior two. All right, so sink into your pose. Check out your front heel intersects your back arch. I usually like to have my blocks handy so I can use them. Take a few moments and just sink into your pose. Can you get this front thigh parallel? This back leg is straight like Tadasana. Your shoulders are square, but your hips are not. Your hips have this very gentle rotation towards the bent knee, but you're really trying to rotate the torso back towards the side wall. All right, couple more breaths. I'm going to reach towards the front of my mat. So how long can I get? Really, really reach. Top hand on the hip, bottom hand on the floor, or I like to use blocks behind the front ankle. We're just going to step up into Ardha Chandrasana. So move that prop forward about a foot. Pick up the back leg to hip height. And this is just like our warrior two. We've just straightened it up. So this front leg is still externally rotated. Hug the right buttock underneath. This top leg is still like Tadasana. Smoothly move inner and outer thigh back evenly. Open the heart towards the side wall. Breathe. And then slowly step back. Warrior two. All right, inhale, reverse. Exhale to the floor. Come up onto the back toes, readjust your lunge. Left hand is flat, right arm reaches to the sky. Stay here. Some of you I know like that side plank, so you're welcome to take it. Tip the top hip forward, lengthen the bottom waist. Maybe send that top arm over. Find your way back to plank. Yogi's choice, vinyasa, set of push-ups, or right to down dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, step it between the hands. Anchor the back heel down, come on up. Warrior two. Take a few moments, get yourself set up. So again, feel how this front leg is externally rotated. So hug that left buttock underneath. Firm that right thigh in. And the back leg is like your Tadasana leg. Open up the chest. Begin to lean. Reach as far as you can. Hand on the floor behind the ankle or use a block, top hand on your hip. So we're going to keep the same thing. All we're doing is straightening up the leg. So that hand moves forward. Firm that left buttock underneath. Keep that top leg straight like Tadasana. Top arm high. And it's the bottom ribs that start to roll out, top ribs back, moving you into your Ardha Chandrasana. Step back, warrior two. Inhale, reverse. Exhale to the floor. Pause here for a moment. Right hand down, left arm high. Move yourself into your twist or add your side plank. Breathe. And return. You decide, vinyasa, set of push-ups, or right to down dog. Couple breaths here. Inhale, the right leg lifts. Exhale, step your foot next to the right thumb tip. Pause there. Take your back foot, move it up and over to the left. And since I'm here, I'm just going to frame my front foot with my blocks so I have them. But I'm setting myself up for warrior one. So I'm going to sink into my front lunge, reach the arms up, pardon me, sink into my lunge, warrior one. And I want to try to square the hips forward, lift the frontal hip points, and send that back knee back while sinking into this front lunge. Inhale, gaze up, palms press. Exhale, hands to the blocks. Come up onto the back toes. So I'm going to shift back just because I'm going to run out of wall space here. So I'm going to bring my front leg back, but just more because I didn't have room up there. And then however you get there, we're going to pick up the back leg to hip height like we were moving into warrior three. But we're going to push firmly into the palms. This back leg is neutral, so drop the left hip. If you want to lift, think about lifting from the inner thigh. Pull your chest forward, and for right now, just keep your hands on the blocks or on the ground. But try to stay really stable, so instead of locking out the standing knee, give it a little bend, press into the palms, heart forward as the heel presses back. And draw the left knee into the chest, round. Press into the palms, really round the back, and set the foot down next to the right. Bend your knees, drop your seat, find chair. Slowly rise, bringing up the right leg. Just leave it as it is without holding it unless you need to or want to. Straighten the leg for a moment. I know it's heavy, at least mine is. Rebend your knee, and then send the leg back. Arms are up to you. We're moving into warrior three. So try to spin up from the inner thigh. Hands are wherever you'd like them to be, including back on those blocks. Take a few breaths here. Hands to the blocks if you'd like. Drop the right hip, pull the chest forward. Now some of you will be in the right place if you want to kick into a little handstand. I'm going to stay where I am just so I don't go out the window here. So it's just optional. And then step way back into a lunge. You can move your props way back into down dog. Feel free to add on any vinyasas you'd like. Inhale, the left leg lifts. Exhale, step your foot next to your left thumb tip. And again, I'm going to have my blocks available. I'm going to move the right foot up and over to the right for warrior one. I'm going to rise, sink into your lunge. Lift the navel, find your breath. Couple of breaths here. Gaze up, palms press. Hands down. Come up onto the back toes and just pause. So you can either walk the blocks forward before I walked my front foot back just because I ran out of space. So I'm going to do that again. Root into the palms and then slowly lift the back leg up for warrior three. Drop the right buttock, lift up from the inner thigh. For right now, just keep the hands on the prop. So you can move through all directions. Head forward, heel back. Push into the palms to lift up out of the upper back. Root down through the front foot. Back knee to your chest. Push into the palms, round. How round can you get? And then set the foot down on the floor. Bend your knees, drop your seat chair. Slowly rise, left knee comes with you. No hands unless that makes more sense for you. Straighten the leg if that's okay, breathe. Rebend, send it back, and move into your version of warrior three. Hands are up to you. Try to drop the left buttock, heart forward, heel back. Hands can stay lifted or you can return to your props, yogi's choice. Step back lunge and step back downward facing dog. Feet together, high to your toes, bend your knees, step or hop, top of the mat. Inhale up halfway, exhale, fold. Bend your knees, drop your seat chair, rise, and arms down by your sides. Okay, how we doing? So if you have the strap set up, grab it back. So we're gonna do two of those poses again with the strap. If you don't have the strap or you hate the strap, just do it without. This is one of those classes or poses that I would do in my public classes that about half the people liked, half didn't. But if only one person really got where I was going with it, I was happy. So some of you may really finally have an aha moment with warrior one and warrior three. So that's worth it to me, even if some of you may not like it, at least at first. So I'm holding the buckle so that the tail comes off the right side. And we're going to do basically everything we've already done. We're just adding the strap. So again, if you don't like the strap, don't have it, do everything without. So I'm going to stamp my left foot onto the ground, holding onto that strap. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to step my right leg through, but I'm going to pull it up first to show you it's essentially what we've already done. So I'm going to remove my hand so there's a little bit of balance. But it's the same thing we did on our back. It's in the hip crease. I've moved the buckle to the side so I can adjust it and it's not uncomfortable. And then I'm going to hold the strap so it doesn't fall. I'm going to step my right foot forward. I'm on the toes of the back foot as I step that back leg back. And I'm using the wall just because I've not had balance lately. All right, so sink in. Now for me, this is literally like the only time I enjoy warrior one. So if you set it up and the strap is working for you, I hope that you find that same experience as well. So that when you finally sink into that front lunge and you anchor through the back heel, you finally feel what this front leg was supposed to be like, really grounding and really feeling that work in the front femur. So if you don't have a strap, just really work your warrior one well. Try to lift your frontal hip points. Move the back hip forward by spinning the left thigh back. Arms up, winning if you're ready. Couple more breaths here. All right, inhale, gaze up, palms press. Exhale, hands down. Hopefully those blocks are handy. I'm going to come up onto the back toes. Note I still have this strap over my foot and my hip. I'm going to move the front foot back just because that's a little easier in my space. I'm going to slowly pick up the back leg to that warrior three where we were doing. And I'm really pushing through my foot to keep that leg active and to keep this front hip feeling like it's traction. Pull the chest forward. So if you don't have the strap, pretend. Drive back through your top heel like you really mean it, or maybe turn to the wall and press your heel into the wall. But if you're pushing so much through that back leg that you feel the traction on the front, it should be very easy, spoke too soon, to lift those hands up. Really feel yourself in this warrior three, all about the back leg. And then hands down. See if you can step back, warrior one. Navel in and rise. Straighten the leg. Try not to get caught in the strap and come out. All right, how'd we do? So hopefully a couple of you enjoyed that. If you didn't, I don't take it personally. Okay, so I'm moving the strap, the buckle into the left hand. The tail is off the left. Just sort of easy management. I'm going to stamp the strap down, and again, I'm at the front of the foot, not in the sole of the foot. That makes it easier to control later. I'm going to pull, I'm adjusting first, this left leg up so I see that it's the right distance. I can adjust it, the buckle is on the side. I can even add balance here if I want to make sure I'm in the right place. Then I'm going to hold the strap so it doesn't fall, because otherwise it doesn't do anything. I'm going to step my left foot forward. I'm going to inch my right leg back. Now my buckle's a little bit in the hip crease, not super comfortable for when I get to warrior three, but I think I'm okay with it. So I'm going to sink really deep into the front lunge. Anchor the back heel. Again, if you don't have a strap or the one that works the right length, just take warrior one. All the principles are the same. Reach the arms up, sink into your pose. Try to move that back hip forward, front hip back. And really feel what it's like to be in that front leg. Gaze up, palms press. And then bring your hands down, find your blocks. Come up onto the back toes. You can either move your hands forward or your front foot back, but you're going to pick up the back leg. And I'm slightly losing my strap, but I think I'm okay. So you're just going to push through that back leg as much as you can. So much that the hands just feel like they're light. You don't even need them on your props. Hands down, step way back, warrior one, and rise, and release. Okay, how did we do? Hopefully that wasn't too bad. So take your strap, we're going to use it in a moment, but set it aside. And then just find your way onto your knees. Give yourself a nice little rest. And if you have these blocks, go ahead and grab them. So if you have any sensitivity in your wrists right now, you're just not interested in this pose, or it feels nicer to do something like a child's pose or your own sit-ups, that's fine. So at any point you can change. But otherwise, I have these blocks, not at my knees or the back of my hips, but slightly forward. I'm going to place my hands on the blocks. I'm going to lean forward. I'm going to push into the palms and lift my knees. And my feet are still on the ground. I'm just feeling this rounding like we've been doing all class. And then set it back down. Okay. If that was okay on your wrists and you're interested in doing it again, lean forward. Push into the palms. Lift the legs. Can you lift the feet, cross at the ankles? Maybe swing them out forward and have a seat. How'd we do? Okay, so if we gotta get back now, so if that was okay for you, lean forward, press your palms into these blocks, lift the hips, cross at the ankles, bring your legs back, and have a seat on your shins. Now, pardon me, I have pretty sturdy blocks. If these are really like melty foam ones, like your wrists don't feel really supported, they're not the right angles, just skip it. You can either do it without or just don't do this at all. You can do a little boat pose, but we're going to do it once more. So you're going to lean forward, press into the palms, on the blocks is nice, lift your hips, raise your feet, take your legs out, and have a seat. Okay, move those blocks forward, move you forward. If you have your strap with the loop, place it over the body. If you don't, you can do this, it's just a lot harder. If you're not interested in what I'm going to give you, you can do boat, sort of seated, or just enjoy your own ab work. Otherwise, I'm going to take the strap. It's high up underneath the armpits. I have the buckle in my hand. And I'm going to take the strap over my feet. Now, my knees have to bend for where the strap is, which is fine. That's what we want. We want bent knees. So if your strap is not long enough, this is finally one of those poses where it's fine. So I have it as high to the chest as I can. I have my blocks available, strap over my feet. My knees are bent. If not, I'm going to tighten my strap. I'm going to hold the edges of the strap. I'm just going to rock back and forth like we did in the beginning. Whew. And then find that Navasana. Now I waited a moment so my strap fell down. So I'm going to move it up. I'm going to hold onto the strap. So again, this could just be regular boat if you don't have the strap. And I'm going to push through the feet like I've been doing all practice. What's so nice about the strap is if you have it in the right place, you can just release the hands and this feels so much nicer. Not as much strain. Okay, so you can be here with or without the strap. Much harder without the strap. I'm going to take these blocks and flatten them, put them slightly forward of the hips. I'm adding an arm balance. If you do this, make sure your feet don't touch the ground. So I'm going to put my blocks very close. I'm going to lean forward. Don't let the feet drop. They're going to want to swing. I'm going to push into the palms, lift the hips, and push into those hands. I'm also pushing through the feet. That's what makes this a lot easier. If you don't have a strap and you're able to do this, I commend you. Good job, because it is hard. We'll take another breath and then lower the hips. Bring ourselves back where we started. Arms forward. All right, how'd we do? Okay, bend your knees. Let's try it one more time because that may have been your first introduction to that and I just sprung it on you. So let's come to our back. With or without the strap. If you want to try it without, go for it. I've been super tired lately, so I don't think I can make it. So I'm going to leave my strap here. So get yourself set up so that the strap is as high into the armpits as you can. Strap over the tops of the feet, and your knees are bent. Hold the strap, cinch it up, and rock forward and back. Balance, find your boat. If you can push through the feet, lift your chest. And while we're here, if you're using the strap, you have a little time. So let's roll around the wrists. Okay. We'll take those blocks next to your hips. Lean a little forward. Lift the hips. Push into the palms. Lift the navel. Find your breath. Hips are down. Legs are down. Go slow. Arms reach. Forward fold. All right, well done, yogis. Take a few breaths here. Lead with your heart and come up. Okay, well done, everyone. So let's find our way into our yin poses now. So if you are still feeling upbeat and you want to continue with this work, you can face the wall or anywhere in your house and do handstand or legs up the wall. But we're going to do legs in the air. I'm just going to grab a block and my timer on my phone. So again, if you're interested in still doing some inversions, keeping the mood a little elevated, go for it. Feel free to move into those other poses. Otherwise, find your way to your back. You can put a prop under the pelvis, feet to the ceiling, and we can work our inversion here. And we'll just change our time here in a moment so that we can start adding times to our poses. And we'll stay here for 2 minutes. So 2 minutes with legs in the air, 2 minutes with legs at the wall, or 2 minutes to work inversions. If you had an intention, this is a great time to come back to it. And notice, has it changed? Has it manifested? As we turn the corner here, we move from our more active practice to our more passive. Doesn't mean it's not as intense, just means that we are there for longer periods of time. It's really nice. We sort of use the first part of the practice to create that dynamic heat and movement. And it was through our movement and our breath that we created focus and meditation. And so as we slow down, we still want to have that focus and meditation, but it may be harder because we're less distracted, right? We have all those distractions of the movement that help us with our meditation in the beginning. But as we slow down here, we have to be a little bit more diligent. How can you stay present? All right, just a couple more breaths. If you were doing something other than what I'm doing, legs in the air on a prop, then go ahead and find your way here if that's okay. And then we're going to do the same thing that we did on our back, or lots of different ways, honestly. We're going to bend the knees, Ekapada Uttanasana again. Hold under the right knee and lower the left leg down. But now we've shifted our experience because we have a little lift underneath us. We're going to do 2 minutes. So again, this timer on my phone will have a nice little bell sound that'll let us know when we're done. If this is too high for you, I have my block on my medium height. Put it low or take it out altogether. Some of you might just have a blanket. You can explore lifting that left leg, pushing through the heel like we've done a lot of our practice today. Our brain likes to recognize patterns. And so when I give you different components or actions in the practice, it's easy to find them in, say, an inversion or harder pose when you've already found it in a more simple pose. But at the same time, when our brain finds those patterns or those things that we're familiar with, a lot of times it checks out. And so even if this is something you've done a lot, it's something you know, see if you can still find something new in the experience so that you're training that meditative mind. You're not wandering off. Which can be hard to do in your house. So again, you have to be much more diligent. Five breaths left. 5 breaths is about 30 seconds. All right, move slow. We do the same thing on the other side. So drop the right foot down. Bend the left knee. Now, if that was extreme before, you can stay with the knee bent. Otherwise, straighten that right leg out. Same 2 minutes. But notice, are they really the same? Does this feel the same as side 1? Reconnect with your breath. Breath happens on its own without our conscious control, but when we're not aware of it, we tend to hold the breath a lot. The breath gets really shallow. And so when I remind you about the breath, oftentimes you'll notice that you were holding the breath, you were tensing, and so it's just a great way to come back. About 5 breaths left. Okay, so both of your feet down slowly, knees bent. Now it's up to you. You can stay in the supported bridge, so knees bent or legs straight. Or you can lift up. Make sure you're not looking at the screen if you lift up, but you can remove the block and lift into a more traditional bridge, holding the mat or interlacing the hands underneath you. So choose a supported or active bridge, whatever makes sense in your body right now. And then if you have the block underneath you, remove it. Separate your hands if you're interlaced and slowly paint the spine down all the way to the ground. Now when your hips arrive on the ground, heel toe your feet to the edges of the mat. So you should feel the edges of the mat underneath your feet, your knees are bent. And then start to windshield wiper your knees. So if your feet were not wide enough, when you windshield wiper, the knees will run into each other. So you should be fairly staggered with the knees wide. And then drop both of your knees to the left. And I like to really lean left and point that right kneecap away from me. And for a lot of us, this is plenty. You can always put a block under that front knee. Some of you may want to add that left foot on the right knee or reach the right arm behind. So we're going to stay with the 2 minutes. If you're feeling really open today, maybe this is a half reclined hero, half saddle. Otherwise, we can stay in this version of windshield wiper. Bring your attention to whatever is stretching, whatever that sensation is. Where do you feel stable and stationary, almost that fixed point of the tissue? Where does that tissue feel like it's stretching, elongating, or changing in any way? Just investigate, explore in the mind's eye. What do you feel? What do you see? Now, if you feel this in the lower back or in the knee, it's uncomfortable, you feel pain, it feels like it's causing injury, of course, come out. But if you just feel kind of a dull ache on the top of the hip, the front of the thigh, that's usually fine. Last couple of breaths. Okay, move slow. You have that foot on top, take it off gently, come back to center. Feet are on the edges of the mat again, slowly windshield wiper. So everything is slow. And then drop the legs to the right, add any props that you need. And we'll continue with this 2 minutes on this side. Both sides are different, so work accordingly. See what you need to do to make this successful for you. About 5 breaths left. What's great about yoga, whether it be vinyasa or yin, is we're really sort of tuning in, fine-tuning our internal clock. And so oftentimes you'll notice I look at the clock and it's almost the same amount of time. It's sort of, they do that at the same time, or your breathing might become real even. And so if you don't have a clock, you're doing this on your own at home, you might count the breath, but also trust your intuition. You probably are more on time than you realize. All right, so unwind. Take a few moments here. Windshield wiper again. And then cross your right ankle over your left knee. Now I'm going to stay with thread the needle. If you're really craving pigeon or double pigeon, go for it. Otherwise, we'll be on our back here and thread the needle. You can pull the left leg in. I'm just going to keep us at that 2-minute mark because we're going to add on to this. Our last couple postures here. And close the eyes. Maybe you find your breath. Maybe try to guesstimate where you are in that 2 minutes. You're about halfway through, about a minute in. All right, 5 breaths left. In a moment when the timer goes off, if you're in thread the needle, keep the legs. If you're in a different pose, I'll give you other options. Okay, so thread the needle first. If you're here, keep the legs. Just take the whole leg unit, drop it left, stamp the sole of the foot into the floor. I like to hold the foot so I can really anchor it and slide it up, and then let that knee open. Maybe right arm reaches behind. If you're in pigeon, stay there or reach for the back ankle. If you are in double pigeon, stay where you can do this with us. So we'll do 2 more minutes, and then we'll finish up with the second side to finish our practice. If this is extreme in any way, you can take a more traditional twist. Otherwise, we're halfway through. We have 1 minute left. Okay, let's finish out. So slowly come to center. Set your foot down. You might even notice a big change between sides. You're going to cross left ankle over the right knee. Go ahead and find your thread the needle, your alternative pose. We'll be here 2 minutes again. And I'm just going to switch because I think I've got more room over here. All right, so you're in your thread the needle or your alternative pose. Winding down our last few poses here, our last pose. All right, we're halfway through this pose. Last breath. All right. Drop your twist to the right or make this your own pose if you took an alternative. And we'll finish out here. We'll finish with this pose and then we'll move into a nice happy baby and then Shavasana. Notice where your stress goes. So even if you feel very relaxed, you can sort of see what's happening within. So notice, a lot of times for me, it's in the face or in the jaw. I start to notice that those muscles are getting tired. Or maybe the neck, the wrists, the lower back. All of these are muscles or areas that sort of tense when we're in stress, real or imaginary. So we could be watching TV and the body stresses up as if it's happening to us. We can be imagining something. And so it really does matter what we intake, what we think, what we see, what we hear. It has an effect on our body. And so when you notice the effects, you notice sort of the stress, find ways to let it go. Again, it's always coming back to the breath. And just reminding yourself to relax, to let go. This moment, we're safe, we're relaxed, we're here. Your last couple breaths. All right. Make your way out of your pose and find your way to an ending pose. So I really like Happy Baby in today's practice. That might work for you. You might take a seated forward fold. You might decide you want to end with legs up the wall. So just take something that feels very sort of neutralizing to you. And then get yourself set up into Shavasana. And I think I'm going to do Shavasana like a reclined butterfly, just because I don't have a lot of other props around, and that'll keep it simple. And we'll do a 3-minute Shavasana. So I'll set my timer so that we know that I haven't forgotten. Get yourself set up where you're comfortable, whatever Shavasana, whatever rest pose you'd like to be in. And just return to your intention. What did you set? Let your practice drift away. And just enjoy these final moments carved out of your day for you. Start to draw our attention back. You can move fingers and toes, maybe reach back behind you. If you haven't already, bend your knees, roll to your side. And then with eyes closed or partially closed, press yourself upright to seated. Hands to your heart in gratitude for all the work your body has done. Lift your heart, bow your head. Namaste.